YouTube family, what's up? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Wealth Magic, ritual number 4. What do we got in ritual number 4? Let me pull it up. We have a working with Raziel. I love Raziel. Let me put it this way. Raziel is one of the archangels. He's one of the great archangels of the Judeo-Christian pantheon, so to speak. Raziel is known as the gatekeeper. He is known as possibly the guy who you go to access the rest of the spirits. You know, kind of like how Lucifer is the same way with the demons, whereas you contact Lucifer in order to gain access to the rest of the demons. Raziel is the same way, but this is the way that you use Raziel is to gain access to the other spirits in that specific realm. In my opinion, and from what I've noticed, Raziel is actually the gatekeeper of not just the other spirits, but he's also the gatekeeper of all matters that relate to the 8th house in astrology. If you're familiar with the 8th house in astrology, which is the house of Scorpio, Scorpio kind of rules the hidden, the occult, the metaphysical, that which you cannot see, that which you cannot comprehend, but you know exists, intuition, stuff like that. Pretty much everything on my channel is all 8th house stuff, subliminals, pheromones, and magic. And the reason that they're all 8th house stuff is because they're all like subconscious, they are out of conscious perception, they are outside of the reach of what most people would consider accessible, and therefore hidden knowledge, and therefore, for lack of a better term, it's just like 8th house stuff. As far as Raziel is concerned, in the wealth magic, I don't necessarily find that Raziel himself is actually providing wealth. In my experience, this being my second time using this 4th working of wealth magic, in my experience, Raziel doesn't necessarily bring wealth, so to speak. In my opinion, Raziel actually connects you with the spirits that do bring wealth. For instance, in working number 6 and working number 7, you work with spirits named Aniquel for number 6 and Clownic for number 7. Aniquel is known as one of the 7 fallen angels, if I'm not mistaken. He's one of the 7 fallen angels that govern wealth. I know Aniquel specifically governs wealth. As far as what Raziel does, okay, so let's get into the actual ritual part of it. At the beginning of the ritual, it asks you to imagine a few different things, like corn, sun, water, earth. Do you kind of get the drift of where it's going? In another one of the Gallery of Magic books, the Archangels of Magick, it actually tells you to imagine the 4 elements, or 5 really, it's really 5 elements, but the 4 physical elements in your palms and rub them together. In my opinion, and in my experience, it's the same way with this visualization, this path working, so to speak, of imagining, and I don't want to give away exactly what it says because I don't want to tell you what's in this book and kind of step on the toes of the authors. You should read it. You should buy this book, and you should definitely read it in order to know truly what I'm talking about. But in the path working, the steps, the statements that you say, that you are imagining, such as the ones that include the corn, the water, the earth, it's really just visualizing different aspects, different manifestations of the elements themselves. With that being the case, you kind of open the working to this archangel with the elements. And then it asks you to actually call on multiple aspects of Raziel. Some people believe that Arzo is actually an angel of his own. I really don't know. I'm just going based on the understanding that Damon Brand specifically uses Arzel as an aspect of Raziel. It's so, like, to put it this way, Raziel may be the forward facing of the entity, but Arzel is actually this side. And I'm trying to explain it in the most ridiculous way. The only way I can explain something that can't be explained. So anyway, Arzel is a different aspect of Raziel. That aspect can actually introduce you to other aspects of reality that the Raziel aspect cannot. So anyway, the ritual actually employs both Raziel and Arzel. And towards the end of the ritual, it actually asks you to request Raziel to empower the talisman to bring you great wealth, and to let riches flow to you through the power of the sacred symbol. And you should get the book if you want to see the whole thing. I don't want to step on the toes of Damon Brand by showing it out there. So it's super simple. This ritual takes me like 3 minutes tops. You know, like, sometimes I even wonder if I'm just saying these words out loud that are in this book, and if I am, like, who's actually hearing me. It seems super mundane. I know that a lot of people in the occult community nowadays is loving to have these altars, these fancy medallions that you can use to access certain spirits. Like, I know that's very popular in the occult community, and none of that's really required. In fact, a lot of it's just a load of crap. So, in comparison, when you look at something like this book, which doesn't require you to have any paraphernalia, except for the second working, it requires you to go outside and pick up a piece of a twig or a leaf or dirt and bring it inside. That's the closest thing to paraphernalia any of this book will tell you to have. Everything else is just like stating words and using your mind and your heart to create genuine alchemy. So, yeah, like I said, this ritual takes me like 3 minutes every single day. Like I mentioned in my previous video about Calvarnia and Armadillo, I invoked Calvarnia because it just felt right. It felt like that's what I needed to do, that's what I wanted to do, that's the way that I expressed the third working. I didn't feel that at all with Raziel. In fact, this is not only my second time working with Raziel. I've worked with Raziel 4 or 5 times total, in multiple different rituals, and 2 of them being with my Magick partner, and we have worked with Raziel twice in order to access other archangels and other angels. And every time that I personally use Raziel, I feel like I get a stronger connection to him. And it seems like Raziel himself isn't necessarily one who brings you any specific manifestation. He's actually the gatekeeper, like I mentioned earlier. He's like the channel. If there's this whole world of inaccessible stuff here on this side, right? You have to access that side of inaccessible stuff. How are you going to do that? That's by using this point, Raziel. He actually opens you up and allows you to access the whole world, the whole other side of the world that we want to access. That's pretty cool to me. It's pretty cool because Raziel is like the gatekeeper, and I keep using that word. I know I've used that word so many times, but that's exactly what he is, in my opinion. So, at the beginning of this ritual, it asks you to do a hand gesture, right? And I'm not going to say what that hand gesture is, but the hand gesture, what it is, in my opinion, is to get you in the magical state. There is that popular occult concept of having these medallions or having these altars. What that really is just to get you in a magical state. In order to get into a magical state, it feels much more easy to get into that magical state when you have all this stuff, all these items all around you to look at and be like, oh, okay, this is one of the 5 physical senses that can prove to me that there might be something out there. It's like a way of using physical objects to connect yourself to the other reality. But it's not really important, you know? So the hand motion actually serves the same purpose as any type of paraphernalia. And it trains you to get into a state. As soon as you do this hand gesture, you're imagining yourself doing this action, and then that's when the alchemy starts taking place. That's when you start getting to the next level. And you kind of sort of enter what is called gnosis. And it's not exactly gnosis, but in my opinion, it's like close enough, and that's when the alchemy can start happening. There's also affirmations in the fourth working. Affirmations are affirmations, but they're asked in the form of a question. So instead of it being, I am extremely wealthy, some of the question may be, why am I so wealthy? That's actually from the daily practice. But that's just to give you an idea of what an affirmation is. Why does Damon Brand use affirmations? Personally, I don't think affirmations necessarily have a purely magical effect. In my opinion, I feel like they have a psychological effect. Yes, it is magical in nature, but it's pretty psychological too. It's pretty easy to identify in modern science and modern psychological science, that when you ask yourself a question, your brain starts to try to answer that question. When you ask an affirmation and you immediately shut your brain off and try not to answer that question, you push that question into your subconscious, and your subconscious goes in daily life and tries to answer these questions on its own. And when you keep hammering in this question day in and day out for 22 days total, your brain and your mind is starting to look for the answers to these questions, and it becomes a working part of your subconscious, and it becomes a working part of your mind. So it's like literally a lifestyle training to have a new lifestyle. And when used in tandem with affirmations, they work quite well. And that's purely from just a psychological, mundane, secular plane that I'm speaking of. What did I actually get from this fourth working? Well, what secrets have been revealed to me? Believe it or not, at work, in my day job, I'm getting these crazy pangs of insight, like these ideas that I am implementing and I'm finding a lot of success with. Like just today, I implemented this idea where it's like super crazy. Like I dropped the prices on on our top product by 20%, and I advertised it at 20% off. And it's crazy, like something so simple that I've been trying to advertise for weeks in a different way. Same price, but I was advertising it in a different way. I advertised it this way today, and within about 5-hour period, we had about 15 to 20 leads that were texting in, messaging us on Facebook, like back to back to back to back. We couldn't even handle the speed at which they were coming in. So that was crazy. That was an inspiration of what I believe to be a secret that was given to me by Raziel. Another thing, I'm starting a website, and this new website is purely inspired by the secrets and the access to the other realm that Raziel is providing me. It's not necessarily a moneymaker in and of itself. I'm not really doing this for money, and I'm not going to reveal what that project is just yet. You guys will see it soon enough, maybe in a couple months. But this project, in and of itself, does not have anything to do with wealth, and it's actually not for that much personal gain. But I believe the community really needs it. The community needs something like this, and this is like a gift given to me by Raziel. And that's what I believe anyway, and you'll never know how these spirits work in your life. You have to be open to these changes. You have to be open to the weird things that come to you in the strangest ways. It's most likely a magical result. I know people tend to want to write off certain things as not being magical or being just a possibility of circumstance. But when it comes to doing magic, when you do magic, everything's a possibility. Every last thing that could possibly happen is a possibility. It's a reality. It is a result. Everything is a result. You just gotta believe in it. Believe in the magic. Trust yourself. Trust the process. And keep doing magic, everybody. Thank you for watching.